Welcome to Heartland Connections and Play It Forward, aid for musicians impacted by the current health crisis. The music industry out there was among the first to close. It's also going to be among the last to open due to the COVID-19 crisis. This places musicians in quite a dire need financially because they rely on their tours and concerts and money to live and to support their families. So Play It Forward is a campaign created by the Galva Arts Council and Heartland Connections with our great partners, the Levitt Foundation and the Galesburg Community Foundation, who provided generous grants. We're going to have 20 musicians perform 20 different concerts live on Facebook and YouTube over 4 dates. Each act is going to get a $500 grant, and then they will also be playing for your tips. We will put up a virtual tip jar for them, so please donate. And we also encourage you to check out all of our artists' webpage, social media pages, where you can purchase some of their music and other items. And you can find a list of all of our artists at heartlandconnections.com and playitforward.rocks. So please join us for our live stream on Heartland Connections, both our Facebook and YouTube platforms. We will have our live stream there on Facebook. You can message us on there during the shows, and also look for a link to Zoom. We're going to try to Zoom the concert as well and see how that goes. But before we get to our artists, this also allows us a good chance to get to know them a little further. So I am speaking with right now Dee Mill of Art of Ill Fusion. And Dee is from Peoria, and so we're real happy to have him, real local guy here. And Dee, thanks for joining me right now, and also thank you for coming up, going to be playing with us.
Thank you guys for choosing or picking me and giving me opportunity. I'm real excited to come play. I've heard a lot of great things about Bishop Hill, so excited to get up there. So.
Awesome. Well, if you don't mind, I know there's people out there that follow you, know you. I'm sure there's some people who are going to get to know you tonight for the first time. So if you could tell us a little bit about your individual background and maybe a little bit of Art of Ill Fusion too.
Okay. I'll start with the Art of Ill Fusion. That's kind of where everything else blossomed from. So Art of Ill Fusion, we've been together since 2003. So we've 17 years. This will be our 18th year coming up. We've played over 1,500 shows nationally. We've played in Brooklyn, New York. We played in Florida. We were down at South by Southwest for a week. In Austin, we've played in LA, Vegas, Oregon, basically all over the country. We started out kind of more of like a jam band with like a reggae and funk mixed in it, but now it's kind of where we don't really have a genre that defines our music. We have songs that are pretty much all over the spectrum. I'm the primary songwriter of that band. From there, I've built like a management company and a artist representation and a video production company, but it all based off of Art of Ill Fusion and the connections that we've kind of amassed over the years. And so, yeah, I've just all things music. That's pretty much my life.
And I guess with fusion, you know, the idea of the name obviously says what you're doing. You're fusing different genres together. But I guess with that, does that give you a sense of freedom to be extremely creative, I assume?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that we've always kind of battled, I think, being an original act from the Midwest, is that most of the time bar owners and club owners don't necessarily want to hear your latest song. They want to hear something that, you know, so we've kind of dealt with that throughout our whole career, where but at the same time, it allows you to build up a following that's organic and a grassroots movement of people that do know your music and they are there to see your shows. So it becomes a thing where people that are coming to an Art Fusion show, you can tell that they're there to see the show. Um, it's not like you're just a background band that's playing something that's on the radio. So, I mean, there's positives and negatives to both sides of that, I guess. But for the most part, yeah, we do our own thing. We've put out a reggae album. We've covered Frank Zappa with my uncle Ike, who played with Frank and toured with Frank Zappa, who's one of the longest touring members. So we've done a couple different times when we've had Ray White and Ike Willis, both from Frank Zappa, come to town, and we've played a Zappa set. We've covered albums for Halloween. We did Prince one year. We did Dr. Dre's Chronic album one year. We did Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young one year. I mean, we're literally, the versatility is kind of like the thing. I'm a 70s baby, so I grew up listening to what my dad was listening to, and a lot of the music was good, and you know, so we don't really put a cap on what our sound is, because kind of, you don't want to paint yourself into a box, I guess, you know.
Well, and obviously, and we spoke briefly before we started here. You know, you're not able to get together with a full group because of all the restrictions and whatnot. So you're going to be performing specifically for us. So as an individual, I guess, you know, how long have you been performing? And you mentioned some, you know, being the 70s baby, you know, the 70s music and some of these other guys you played for. I guess what influenced you to get into the music in the first place?
I mean, I would say my dad, because my dad always had, you know, always had a guitar around. I look to the wall because this, right out of sight, is a 64 Alvarez that he just recently gave me. And that guitar has been in my house ever since I can remember. So I started noodling around with that. My dad was playing stuff like, I don't know, like Crosby, Stills and Nash and Creedence Clearwater Revival and that kind of stuff. And so that would be what influenced me originally. But I'm a huge music fan, so I've gone and seen, you know, Fish a bunch of times. I've gone and seen Humphreys McGee. I've gone and seen the Grateful Dead. Like, I've gone and seen concerts pretty much my whole life. So that would be probably where I draw the inspiration. So if I had to say that, it would be being a fan first is what made me want to be a performer.
So one of the things, you know, obviously we're doing with this at Heartland Connections, we feel music can create a lot of opportunities. So obviously pre-pandemic, you know, have you seen either with yourself or others that, you know, out there fans, you know, have you been able to find anything where you've seen music become a vehicle for change?
Like during this, or just in general?
Just in general, just in general.
Yeah, I would say music being a vehicle for change. Yeah, I mean, I think for anybody, music can be a thing that, like, especially mentally, like, I know personally, you know, you could be having a bad day, all of a sudden the right song comes on and it just levels out your whole day, changes the mood. You know, you thought you were having one kind of day, but then that right song comes on the radio and then you're singing at the top of your lungs, and next thing you know, your day's not that bad. I mean, that is a vehicle for change, small change, but still change nonetheless.
So obviously pre-pandemic was different than now. I guess, can you give maybe a little snippet into your life, you know, what it was like, you know, as a musician pre-pandemic? I mean, you mentioned 1,500 shows and all these locations you went to. I mean, you're obviously not sitting at home during those times.
No, we're not sitting at home during those times. The life of our tours would be, because everybody has like more of like most of the guys have a thing at home now that we're older. When I was in my 20s, it didn't matter. We'd stay out on the road for 250 days if we had to. Nobody cared. But now it's like more structured to where we'll say, okay, we're going to take 90 days that we're going to be gone and play 86 shows or something like that, And so we're touring a lot when we release an album, then we'll tour for the album. Not just taking every gig that comes along. Those days are behind us, because it's the time. Time has to make sense. Time away from family has to make sense. Time for other guys to be away from their family has to make sense. And now our drummer lives in Chicago, and our guitarist and keyboard player both live in Madison, Wisconsin. So there's a whole bunch of things that getting to a certain level of a band, I guess, it's kind of a gift and a curse. Like for us, we can't just say at the drop of a hat, okay, we're going to go play at so-and-so's club on Friday night because he has an opening. We have to have our schedule planned out. So basically, we played our shows in the fall, and then for us, winter in the Midwest, we decided a couple years ago, to not maybe play 60 shows during January and February in the Midwest because you're looking at each other at 3 in the morning loading in for a gig that everybody made $28 at. It's negative 36. You don't know where the hotel is. You're standing in the cold, and you're just like, what are we doing? And so we were just getting ready to start our warmer months, which is the spring, right around St. Patrick's Day is usually when we'll have a big show. And then we kick off in the spring. Once we can be playing outdoors is pretty much when we fire up now. Play a bunch of festivals in the summer, a lot of big street festivals that we've played over the years, and just we played one in Wisconsin, and I mean we've played festivals all over the Midwest. So that's what is going to be really hard this summer. It'll be probably the first summer that we're not playing these huge 25,000 person street festivals, and it's gonna be interesting. Just I don't know. Hopefully I can keep my head together.
Yeah.
So.
Well, leading into that, then, I mean, obviously, like you said, a lot of this stuff has been canceled or postponed, and changes everything. So I guess how have you been dealing with the sheltering in place, and I guess what have you been doing during that time?
Well, me personally, I kind of had shifted the last couple of years where I was doing kind of more behind the scenes again. Like I did behind the scenes stuff early in my career, and then for a while we had management and stuff that handled that. So recently I have a company that's Fused Well Promotions Presents, and we have 16 different artists that we represent and we book for. And so not only was Artiville Fusion affected, but these bands, I have 16 other acts that have bands that are all getting their shows taken off the calendar. So the management thing, that also came to a halt, but that's kind of what I was doing alongside of just playing. And but with that, I also was focusing on social media and video and live streams, which I've been doing the Sling thing for the last 2.5 years. So I've got hundreds and hundreds of hours into it. So when this happened at first, I was I had all kinds of people coming at me, and I've been saying, okay, live stream is a good way to get content out. It's a good way to beat social media algorithms and stuff like that. But once that happened, people were like, hey, what was that you were saying a couple of weeks ago about the live stream? Everybody was into it, but then, the shelter in place happened. But so what I was doing, I was working with the artist, and we just released his world premiere music video. So I did all the editing and produced this short film for him. So that we released that on May 8th. And when I looked at it today, it had 327,000 views in the last 9 days, something like
Oh,
that.
geez.
So this music video that I was the creator of went viral. So that has been kind of like a crazy experience, because as a musician, as a filmmaker, as any kind of artist, all you do is create, and you just hope something sticks one day. I mean, really, that's all you can hope for. And so for this artist, I don't really know how it happened or why it happened, but it's got a great message, and he's a Christian rapper. So, it was a different genre of music for me, but I mean, we did it and put it out. So I'm working with him and doing a couple more projects, but other than that, I've just moved this whole studio over here in the last couple of weeks. So I've been creating music, and I got a radio podcast show that I've been doing from my kitchen that I'm going to continue to do from right here, and featuring all kinds of music. The idea of the podcast is just to keep music playing in the universe, and just keep me. And I don't show like our stuff all the, like I show what's going on in Peoria, so people can, because I have an audience, and if I'm telling people, hey, you should check out this person from my town, I know people are going to listen to that. So that's what I've been doing. I've been sharing a lot of music, slowing down, listening to a lot of albums, checking out a lot of artists that I probably never would have had the time to. So, and that's about it.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Real quick, earlier you were talking about, all the places that you've toured and been to. Is there a place that sticks out, a favorite place that you've ever played?
Favorite place that we've ever played. There's a festival in Arkansas on the other side of like the Ozark Mountain, basically where the festival Wakarusa was on the top of the mountain. But if you go down the other side, there's a place called Birds Adventure Center, and it's Bird Fest, and that place is real nice. And they have their festival in the spring and one in the fall. That was one. And then we used to always play in downtown Peoria. Like one of my favorite spots is the Apollo Theater.
Oh, yeah.
And that's an old opera house, and all that's left is the balcony of it, and they've taken out all the theaters, so you're actually sitting in the balcony, but they built the stage up to basically there's a parking deck behind it now. But that place is gorgeous to play, and the sound's immaculate in there.
Awesome. Yeah, there's some neat old theaters. I imagine anytime you can play in one of those, just for the acoustic level alone, it's got to be a treat.
Yeah, that's.
So, with things going on, navigating through this time, hopefully we can come out of it sooner rather than later. I mean, what do you have any thoughts of what you think the post-pandemic time might look like for you, or just the music scene in general?
I'm trying not to speculate too much, but I mean, I'm hearing that it's going to definitely be one of the last things to come back, because our business is gathering large crowds. That's what we do. As a promoter, as management, as an artist, that's what my jobs are, is to draw people. So I don't know. I've heard, I think that virtual concerts and drive-in concerts, there's a lot of tours that are starting to get booked at drive-ins. I don't know how they're going to convince people at a concert to sit in their car, but I mean, if that's the way it is, then I guess, I mean, with the drive-in thing, I think that it's a great idea, and I think that for all intents and purposes, the idea is good, but I think when you get people that are in concert mode and in their car and listening to their favorite band, when you say sit 600 feet back there in your car, you're already there in a tailgating situation. I mean, I don't know, but I mean, I'll check it out though. I mean, I'm definitely itching to go to a live show, and like I said, I just think live streaming is going to be the thing for a little while. Like, I think that, I stopped advising bigger companies that I was trying to sell my services to, because then they just going out and getting their own stuff, So I, but I think that it's coming, like I think that, people are going to be like Sling. I know in one of the groups I had that they couldn't even order them anymore because churches had bought them up, and everybody's doing virtual church services, and everybody's doing, every band wants to stream from their practice space now. And so, yeah, I mean, hopefully live streaming is on the rise.
Well, and I'm just hoping once people can get out and be in crowds again, that this time, my hope is we'll make them realize that, these are special opportunities and we need to get out more and see more music, or, go for more theater or things like that, to where hopefully that just gets people excited again about doing these things that maybe the time of cell phones and social media is kind of taken away from a little.
Yeah, and that's one thing I was thinking of the other day, is that hopefully, these friends that say, hey, I'm going to come to your next show, but then they don't show up, hopefully they're all coming for a while after this is over, because you do kind of take it for granted. You get to a certain age. And for me, I'm turning 45 this year. So for me to say, okay, I'm going to go, and like I said, I'm in the music business, but it only takes one thing for me to change my mind and stay on the couch, like, so I'm going to make sure that myself that, I'm going to make sure when something is happening and I'm not playing, that I'm going to get out and support. I try to go see stuff, but like, I don't drink alcohol anymore. So it's like, to just, I don't know. I just enjoy, after all those shows and all those tours, I just enjoy my time at home with my family. But it's like, when you've made your living playing music, you can't just stay home all the time. You have to go play. So I know eventually things are going to kick back up, and, but I have really enjoyed my time here with my family. So it's like, try to find the positive in it, I guess. Financially, not so great, but, emotionally, my kids are all happy, my wife's happy, so I'm happy.
Awesome. Good. Well, we'll let you get going here, but where can people find out more about you and what you do, and maybe check out some of that music and hopefully get some of it?
Okay, so for the band I play in is Arteville Fusion. So we're on every social media platform. Just search Art, A-R-T, of I-L-L, Fusion, and we're the only one. And then for the podcast, I've moved it off of my personal page, so you can go to Fusedwell Promotions Presents, and that has a list of all the bands that we work with. And then also it'll be where the podcast streams at. Last night we had an artist come in here and he did his live stream. And then the video company is Transcendent Visual Arts, and the record label is Transcendent Records.
Awesome.
That's it.
Awesome. Well, Dee Mill, everyone. Dee, thanks for taking the time to do this. Thank you for coming to play for Play It Forward. We really look forward to it. And again, I really like the hat. That's an awesome hat.
Thank you. Go Bulls. I never wavered from that. Like a lot of people, they go to Golden State or they go here or there. I'm still Bulls. I'm still waiting. Just like the Bears, I'm still waiting from '85. Just waiting for the golden age comeback. But you know.
Yeah, well,
Thanks for having me.
It's still one of the best logos out there. So thanks a lot, Dee.